Dartmouth's 2024-2025 supplemental essay prompts underscore exactly what the college is looking for from first-year applicants. Let's talk about it. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process on my website, which is collegemeister.com. And if you're interested in learning about whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America, visit areyouontracktogetin.com. Again, that's areyouontracktogetin.com, at which you will complete a free 3-minute assessment. Your results will be emailed to you right away, and they will help you clarify whether or not you are or your student is on track for selective college admission in the United States of America. I should note that I've done videos about Dartmouth previously about how to get into Dartmouth, and I will link those below. But every year, the Dartmouth and most selective college and university applications change a bit, and we now have been released the 2024-2025 supplemental essay prompts for Dartmouth College for first-year applicants. And there are a few tweaks here and there are a couple new options entirely in terms of potential prompts one may want to respond to. But overall, the supplement is quite similar in terms of the essay prompts to last year, but the changes that have been made really tell the tale in terms of helping the student better produce the content that Dartmouth wants the applicants to be able to produce to put their best foot forward. So, what am I saying here? Basically, they're leading questions, they're leading prompts, they're more focused than ever. And it really helps me as someone who helps students year in, year out with applications to all different types of colleges and universities, better advise my Dartmouth applicants, because what I'm seeing is a focusing of what it is Dartmouth really wants out of applicants on their supplement. I should note that I have a whole other group of videos that you may want to watch if you're interested in knocking the Common App essay out of the park. Those will also be linked in this video's description. And at the end, I'll also talk about another way you can put an extra feather in your cap on your Dartmouth College supplement as you try to seal the deal and get into Dartmouth's class, let's say of 2029, or later if you watch this into the future. But first, let's dive deep into the actual supplemental essay prompt options for the 2024-2025 admission cycle for first-year applicants. The first response has to be 100 words or fewer. This is very short for a question that you're going to respond to that basically has to convey your fit with Dartmouth. This is an edited version of a prompt that existed last year, and it's edited in such a way to actually make it stronger, the prompt, more focus, there's less fluff, and again, you can watch a previous video to hear what the prompts were in the past, but let's focus on what the prompts are now, or at least when this is being filmed in July 2024 for the 2024-2025 admission cycle. Prompt number 1, as you seek admission to Dartmouth's class of 2029, what aspects of the college's academic program, community, and/or campus environment attract your interest? How is Dartmouth a good fit for you? 100 words or fewer, and your goal here is to convey fit. It's that simple. You only have 100 words with which to work, and last year's prompt, there was more words going on. It was more distracting, but do not get distracted by the fact that there are definitely 2 sentences in this prompt. You can focus in on whatever is drawing you to Dartmouth, whether it be the academic program in some way, shape, or form, the community overall, or some aspect of the community, the campus environment, or something else not even mentioned. As long as you put your stake in the ground and go deep with 100 words. You can't go that deep, but go deep with that thing that is most drawing you to Dartmouth. Now, you could theoretically talk about more than one aspect, but the challenge there, and they even use the word aspect in the plural, what aspects of the college's academic program, community, and or campus environment attract you? For every new aspect you add, you're going to have fewer words to really flesh that out. So just keep that in mind. It's diminishing return time, right? If you talk about 10 things, you're only going to be able to name them. Whereas if you talk about 2 or 3 things, you'll be able to give each one maybe a sentence or 2. So keep that in mind. Depth over breadth, quality over quantity. How is Dartmouth a good fit for you? If you could write this essay to any other liberal arts school in a bucolic environment in New England, you're not doing a good enough job of conveying fit. If you could write this to any other Ivy League school, you are not doing a good enough job of conveying fit. You must convey specific details of the fit between you and Dartmouth. But the majority of this, of course, is about Dartmouth. But what also you select about Dartmouth implicitly is communicating about you and your value system, right? But the spotlight should not be on you as much in this one, because the next 2 essays are going to be more about you explicitly. But you're going to definitely be involved in this essay implicitly as you select the things that most attract you to Dartmouth College as a first-year applicant, hopefully to join Dartmouth's class of 2029. So again, that's the fit one. The next one you have 250 words for, and you must respond to one of 2 prompts in order to give a 250-word response. These 2 prompts are exactly the same as last year. There is a Quaker saying, let your life speak. Describe the environment in which you were raised and the impact it has had on the person you are today. Or you can respond to be yourself, Oscar Wilde advised. Everyone else is taken. Introduce yourself. The goal with this response of 250 words, regardless of which prompt you select that I just read, is that you fully flesh out the person who is applying to Dartmouth, and that's you. And so it's extremely important that they get to, not the whole you, obviously they're not going to get to know the whole you in 250 words, but you want to be able to convey some facet of who you are deeply that gives them a sense of, again, your character, your value system, your personality, that is not duplicative of what you've already, or not repetitive of what you've already shared on the Common App's main essay. Because if you're just beating that dead horse again in this essay, you're wasting your time and words. You want to be able to convey something new about yourself that maybe they would have assumed, but that you have not explicitly conveyed in an articulate or eloquent way yet, or maybe something they wouldn't even assume at all, but that would give them a sense of the type of person you would be and the type of person who would be engaging in the life of Dartmouth College if you should be accepted and ultimately matriculate. So it's extremely important that you try very hard to keep the spotlight on yourself. And again, don't bite off more than you can chew about yourself. Focus on one aspect of yourself that you feel like is really important to bring to the fore here. If you choose the first option, describe the environment in which you were raised and the impact it has had on the person you are today, lean more heavily on the impact it has had on the person you are today than on devoting too many words to the environment in which you were raised, because they're not accepting the environment you were raised in. They're accepting you, hopefully. And so, yes, you need to give the foundation of the environment in which you were raised to give context, but as early as you possibly can, you want to segue into showing how that environment has impacted you if you choose that first option. If you choose the second option, you're freer to just sort of go all in on who you are and that one facet of yourself that you feel like is really important to share here, that again would be a value added or something new to augment your application that has not been shared elsewhere, either by your teacher recommenders, your counselor recommender, or you yourself on the common portion of the Common App or elsewhere on the activities list. And we'll talk about the resume in a minute. So again, that's all about that 250 word response is all about the person. That is you, the applicant. And then finally, the third required response also must come in at no more than 250 words. And you have a potpourri of options to respond to this prompt. But this is all about the passion, is what I call it. The passion you bring for something. And ideally, that's something I think should be what you want to pursue academically or professionally. Let me show you why. Option 1 is what excites you. That is exactly a prompt option that exists in this area last year. The second one is also a prompt that existed last year in this section. Labor leader and civil rights activist Dolores Huerta recommended a life of purpose. Quote, "We must use our lives to make the world a better place to live, not just to acquire things," end quote, she said. Quote, "That is what we are put on earth for," end quote. "In what ways do you hope to make, or are you already making an impact? Why? How?" Again, only do that one if you can convey how you've already started pursuing your passion in such a manner. The third one, though, gives it away. This is C. In Oh, the Places You'll Go, Dr. Seuss invites us to, quote, "think and wonder, wonder and think," end quote. Imagine your anticipated academic major. How does that course of study sync with Dr. Seuss's advice to you? Now, this is a reworked version of a prompt that existed last year. I will read to you now the prompt that existed last year that referred to Dr. Seuss. And that prompt is Dr. Seuss, aka Theodore Geisel, of Dartmouth's class of 1925, wrote, quote, "Think and wonder, wonder and think. As you wonder and think, what's on your mind?" But they struck that prompt this year. And the prompt is now very explicit in saying, how does that course of study sync with your... So they really want it to be better aligned, if you respond to this prompt, with your anticipated academic major, and how does that course of study sync with Dr. Seuss's advice to you? So to me, that gives away the game. What that is telling us is that for prompt number 3, regardless of the one you pick, you need to be conveying passion in a focused way. They must not have had as much focus in the responses they were receiving last cycle. And so they reworked this prompt this year to make it more focused explicitly around the idea of your anticipated course of study, your anticipated academic major. So if you have a very explicit and focused idea of why you are pursuing your academic major and you're very confident and certain about it, and this also makes you think and wonder quite a bit, and think and wonder and wonder and think, then this would be a prompt tailor-made for you. This also sort of aligns with, obviously, option A. You could absolutely talk about your academic or career focus with option A, what excites you. The second one you could obviously do as well, but that one is talking explicitly about how you're already making an impact. Not as many students are already making impact in their field, their anticipated field of study, or their professional goals yet, or their ultimate career destination. So that's harder to do unless you've already started being, let's say, a community advocate, or start involving yourself in intensive research related to a particular type of cancer that you also want to work in oncology for the rest of your career, in which case you could absolutely tackle B. That's a harder one to do. But basically all 3 of these so far are definitely allowing you to explain more about the motivations behind and the way in which it shows itself, your passions, what excites you. So again, this is why I say this third required essay is all about conveying a personal passion you have, why it exists, how you pursue it, how you hope to continue to pursue it in some way, shape, or form, in some sort of breakdown of ratios, depending on the exact prompt you're responding to. D is entirely new this year, and there's a lot of words here. This is a sort of a get out of jail free card prompt, in the sense, if you really don't know what you want to major in, or you don't know what you want to yet pursue as your career, and you really don't have one overriding passion you want or need to talk about here, this prompt could be good for you. The social and family interactions of wild chimpanzees have been the focus of Dame Jane Goodall's research for decades. Her understanding of animal behavior prompted the English primatologist to see a lesson for human communities as well. Quote, "Change happens by listening and then starting a dialogue with the people who are doing something you don't believe is right," end quote. Channel Dame Goodall. Tell us about a moment when you engaged in a difficult conversation or encountered someone with an opinion or perspective that was different from your own. How did you find common ground? This sort of dovetails with an essay prompt that is similar on different Ivy League applications. So if you're already doing that one on another application, or that similar prompt, you may want to just recycle it here. But the reason this exists is for the undecided students, or the students who want to major in multiple things or have multiple passions, or the Renaissance girls and boys, the ones who really aren't sure exactly what they want to do, or they want to do a lot of different things and they can't distill exactly one. Dartmouth also wants students who are not just really strong in one academic area or who have very specific professional or career goals. They also want people who are able to play nice with others, be civil, especially considering everything that's going on college campuses in recent years. They want to see that you are able to be receptive and open-minded to diverse perspectives and are willing to change your mind and have an open mind on different issues. So if you can't, and maybe you're even passionate about that type of collaboration or engagement or interaction with peers or professors or others. So if you feel like you don't want to convey your passion for an actual academic area, you may want to be able to convey your passion for civility, your passion for a specific time in which you engaged in a difficult conversation and how you were so passionate about what you learned or what you took from it. And that would be ready-made, that prompt for that type of response. But I would not pick D. I would not pick this chimpanzee one if you are truly passionate about something very explicit academically, curricularly, or professionally, because I think you'd be better served putting the spotlight on yourself the entire 250 words in this response. And the problem with this prompt is that you're obviously going to have to share the spotlight a little bit with your discussion partner, right? And so you're going to be diluting a little bit of the focus on you if you respond to D. But that is the best prompt to choose, or one of the best prompt options to consider if you really don't have an overriding passion academically, professionally yet at this point. Celebrate your nerdy side is E option. Again, that is similar to what excites you. Basically, get nerdy, get really hyper-focused, share with the admissions committee something you're really passionate about. Again, this is why I highlight this whole third essay as being the passion essay. That existed on last year's application too. Now, there's another slightly reworded prompt this year. It's not easy being green was the frequent refrain of Kermit the Frog of Jim Henson fame. How has difference been a part of your life, and how have you embraced it as a part of your identity, outlook, or sense of purpose? This one will be hard to do if you chose option 1 on the Common App main essay. Because you may have already touched on this same part of your identity or an identity-related theme, in which case, a lot of students don't want to go back to that well twice, and I don't recommend going back to the exact well twice, but maybe you want to talk about a different aspect of your identity. But again, I would only choose this one if you really feel like your identity in one way, shape, or form is differentiated enough in the eyes of the powers that be at Dartmouth to warrant you writing 250 words about it. And in some cases, that's definitely going to be the case. But in other cases, you're not going to be able to play that card, if you will. So as a result, you've got to think long and hard about if you want to go all in on your passion being what you've learned from your identity and how you've embraced your identity, outlook, or sense of purpose, or, basically the thing that differentiates you so much from your peers. But again, here you're sort of sharing the spotlight with others. And I feel like in some ways, this is built for the type of student who really is maybe more unsure, undecided academically, and wants to just focus on their identity in one way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. That could be a really great idea for you in a post-affirmative action world to focus on your identity in narrative format as opposed to on a checklist of your identity. But if you don't have that differentiated of an identity, if it's not very crystal clear, your identity, or you don't feel like your identity is enough to hang your hat on, then you may want to skip that one. But again, it could work for some and it will not work for others. I believe, again, this is the passion essay. If you have a passion for exploring identity, especially your identity, and you feel like it really is at the root of everything that makes you who you are every day, then this would be great. If, however, your identity you don't really feel as tightly wound into and is as much of a foundational element as to why you do what you do, then I don't think I would touch this one. And then, just so you know, last year, the prompt with Kermit was, it's not easy being green, was the frequent refrain of Kermit the Frog. How has difference been a part of your life? And how have you embraced it as a part of your identity and outlook? This year, again, the new prompt is, it's not easy being green was a frequent refrain of Kermit the Frog. How has difference been a part of your life, and how have you embraced it as a part of your identity, outlook, or sense of purpose? What Dartmouth is trying to do here is show, not just like talk about your identity, but also show how you've embraced it in such a way as where it has impacted your behaviors. So this gets right back to the Supreme Court ruling, is that they're not really supposed to be accepting students based off of racial status, but many colleges are interpreting the Supreme Court ruling related to affirmative action as still allowing students to talk about how their racial experience or other identity experiences intersecting with their identity, have developed that student into a different type of person than they otherwise would have developed into. And their behaviors have actually changed in terms of their outlook, but also their sense of purpose. And hopefully, again, concretely, you've actually can point to things that you've already started doing or started thinking about how you want to live your life, that, again, all germinates back to your identity if you pursue this one. And then finally, there's one more new prompt option for this third essay about your passion or a passion on Dartmouth Supplement this year, which is the Buddy Tevens, class of 79, was a legendary and much beloved coach at Dartmouth. He often told parents, your son will be a great football player when it's football time, a great student when it's academic time, and a great person all of the time. If Coach Tevens had said that to you, what would it mean to be, quote, a great person? Again, this is a new prompt this year. This is another opportunity to really talk about your value system, your character, your identity. Don't do the same identity, character, or value system that you talked about in the Common App essay. Or elsewhere on the supplement. But again, I would intersect this with passion again, because you want to write about something in this third essay on the Dartmouth Supplement that you're really passionate about writing about, so they get excited about you. And so here you can talk about your unique value system in a way, because you're basically showing your definition of what it means for you to be a great person. A Muslim from Texas versus a Jew from Minnesota versus a Christian from England versus an agnostic from Hungary versus an atheist from Africa versus a Buddhist from South Asia. They're all going to have different value systems, right? So this is an opportunity, even if you don't really want to align it with religion, to show what your value system is, to show what you mean, what you aspire or see as becoming a great person. And how that shows itself on a daily basis, not just in your mind, but in your actions. So again, that hopefully you're passionate about this topic if you're going to pick prompt number G or letter G, because again, they really at the admissions committee at Dartmouth want to get excited about what you're writing about, because they want to get a sense of a passion of yourself, not just get to know you as a person, but to get to know a specific passion that you hold and the ways in which that passion has shown itself. If you pick this one or really any of these, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to add one more thing, which is don't use any of these essays to just create a narrative of an extracurricular activity or an achievement. That should not be happening in any of these responses, because remember, you have the activities page of the Common App to flesh out in at least a skeletal form your top 10 activities. But also note that traditionally Dartmouth has given you the opportunity on its supplement to share a full-fledged extracurricular resume. And I strongly recommend, if you want to be a competitive applicant for Dartmouth and you have more than 10 activities and or you have more to say about your top 10 activities on the Common App's activities page, in either case, you should put together a full-fledged extracurricular resume. And I would go so far as to say an extraordinary extracurricular resume. And that is why several years ago, I created How to Build an Extraordinary Extracurricular Resume short course. And it is linked in the description of this video. I strongly recommend you take that course. It is less than an hour in length. It is $19. And it's going to give you the tools you need to communicate effectively, articulately, and eloquently and efficiently about your full extracurricular profile from the summer after 8th grade onward. So again, How to Build an Extraordinary Extracurricular Resume is the name of the course. The link to it is in this video's description. And I strongly recommend it in order to put the cherry on top of your Dartmouth supplement, because Dartmouth has traditionally given you the opportunity in its supplement to upload an optional resume. But many students won't do the optional resume because they'll just do the minimum on the Common App activities page and call it a day. You're not going to do the minimum. You're going to do the maximum. You're going to go big or you're going to go home. And hopefully going big is getting in to Dartmouth College as a first-year student. One final, more additional bit of advice that I want to give you, which is very important for the 24-25 admission cycle. I'm offering a new product. It's called my pre-read. When you finished your Common App and you want to know if it's as strong as possible and whether or not in its current condition your chances of admission to Dartmouth are impressive, inconclusive, or inadequate, you want my pre-read. Because getting my pre-read now means having me review your entire application, just like an admissions officer or admissions committee will review it later, and receiving by email no later than the time you reserve on my website, which is mypreread.com for this very particular product. A comprehensive report highlighting what is working and what is not on your full Common App, and in this case, your Dartmouth supplement to the Common App. Again, you're only going to do this when you feel like it's finished. So don't do this in August 1st unless you're finished. Very few people are finished August 1st. Only do this when you really feel like it's ready to go and you just want one more set of eyes looking over it, an expert pair of eyes, that would be yours truly, to give you my feedback. This is sort of infotainment. It's informational and entertaining, the product you're going to get. If you've yet to submit your Common App, my pre-read may motivate you to make adjustments to it before your deadline, depending on what that report shares. If you've already submitted your Common App, my pre-read will prepare you for what I deem to be your likely admissions outcome at Dartmouth College. And in that case, it will just sort of entertain you as you're sitting on your hands as you wait for your decision. It may be something you still want to purchase to just clarify if you did everything you could do, or even if it's too late, and maybe you'll get deferred and you can write a deferral letter later. We'll see. But in any case, if you're interested in my pre-read either before you submit your Common App to Dartmouth or after you submit your Common App to Dartmouth, let's have fun. It's fun. It's a nice product. It's pretty well priced. So you may just want to get my feedback, even if you didn't want to work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process. You would want to go to mypreread.com to learn more about this new product I'm offering for the 24-25 admission cycle. Again, that's mypreread.com. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process, go to collegemeister.com. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions process.